Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on data lineage with the title AI Meets Governance, LLM Powered Data Lineage Simplified. I'm Revati Kumar, your host for this session. I want to thank you all for joining us today. At HexaCorp, we pride ourselves on delivering innovative IT solutions, mainly across application services, cloud services, unified data and intelligent automation services, professional services, and TechPod as a service. Our main goal is to empower organizations with secure, scalable, and data-driven solutions to really make a great impact. Today, we're really thrilled to introduce Ramesh Rao Kulkarni, a data expert and one of our principal architects who has been instrumental in implementing effective data lineage frameworks using AI. Well, in today's session, we'll be exploring what is data lineage and how to effectively implement using AI, how it helps track the flow, transformation, and lifecycle of data across systems, real world use cases where data lineage improves audit readiness and decision making, followed by a mini demo. Of course, for Q&A, we encourage you to just drop your questions into the chat and we'll make sure they're addressed. So without further delay, let's welcome Ramesh, who will take us into the world of data lineage and show us how HexaCorp brings it to life for modern businesses. So Ramesh, over to you.
Thanks, Revati. Hey, everyone. Morning, good evening. Uh, Let me share my screen, and then maybe I'll start by introducing myself. There you go. So I'm Ramesh Kulkarni, having spent a very fulfilling data journey from last 2 decades, have been completely onto the on building data platforms, data ecosystems, have been part of very strong institutes, to name few: Bank of America, Barclays, Lloyds Banking, UHG, Mercedes, and few more. Yeah. So today we'll be touch basing data lineage, and I'll try to set a context around what is data lineage, also context around whole lot of data governance. I'll try to keep it keeping in mind of all the audience, irrespective of the nature of their work. I'll see if I could keep it simple, and then if audience could grab it. Yeah. So data lineage in particular, to give you some visual perspective, it's about, if I were to talk about an analogy, while we build a very complex systems, what becomes so important is maintaining the systems, understanding the systems. The more and more the systems become complex, the more and more it is very difficult to manage. If I were to talk about the air traffic control system, the rail traffic control systems, and the way how all of that is monitored, how the schedules, how flights come on time, how that entire planning happens. That's something which this analogy is very close with data. Yeah. So while large enterprises deal with humongous amount of data, it's also, it brings in, although always the goal of large enterprises or large institutes is always to derive meaningful insights from the data, where they could make, where it helps their decision making, business intelligence. But it also comes with a problem of how do you manage, how do you understand, how much do you understand, right? So going back to the analogy, the complexity of setting up a monitoring system for either air traffic or the rail traffic, likewise setting up a monitoring for a data ecosystems or a data practice is always very difficult. Yeah. And that has always been an industry problem. And you might have seen a whole lot of tools. The company is trying to bring together a solution to ease up this problem. The likes of Informatica, the likes of Colibra, IBM, Datadog, whole lot of data products, which try to solve this problem by where they try to facilitate a very strong data governance view, especially for chief executives, chief technology officers, both on the business side and the technology side, and for the support staff, for the delivery teams, for them to get closer on the data. These tools generally facilitate by setting up a very strong governance, and data lineage comes part of it. So what you see on the screen is just a simplistic view. The real enterprise setups are too complex. You're seeing only few lines here, but it's in the real enterprise world, it's all cluttered. You would have, what you see is just 4 pipelines in here, which is taking the data. But as such, in real world, at least those are thousands and thousands of pipelines, which generally lead to the data coming at one place, and then we are driving analytics on top of it. Yeah. So that's a little bit of context about what is data lineage. As the name suggests, we are talking about data, and the lineage is something where it starts and where it ends, and how, while it is moving in the flow, how it is getting transformed, how and where is the point for us to understand the point, how the data is flowing through these pipelines makes a data lineage. Yeah. So the complexity which I was talking about is about what are all the data points. What you see here are only few of them. But in reality, the lineages are at very different level. What you are seeing here is at a table level, but then lineages are at a column level. The lineages are at a process level. So that's something which we will cover in the upcoming slides. But then that's lineage for you. So in next couple of slides, I'll try to add more context towards how business team benefits and how business team loses, but by not having a data lineage, effective data lineage, and how it affects the technology team also. Let me start with the business problems. Yeah. So there is always this challenge between the business and the technology teams. The business teams always wants to get the right business intelligence from the data. That's always the goal, where it is so easy for them to derive analytics on the data, which helps on the business processes and the decision making. But then how easy it is, how difficult it is. Business team may not understand what technology team goes through. Business team and the communication between the business team and the technology team may not be so fruitful, because technology team may not have a very great view. They may have that view, but then it may not be articulated into something visual where they can convince the business team about how the lineage is, how the data is flowing through the system. Yeah. Because of which business team always and has an impact. Mostly the businesses runs on the decision making, for them to get the right reports, right dashboards, right analytics. It leads to a lot of poor decision making, right, where technology team is not able to bring the data on time, get the right data integrity, right accurate data, and whatnot. Yeah, I'll be talking on it in the next slide. So of course, it's a slow time to insight, as I said. Then of course, it leads to a whole lot of compliance and regulatory risk, because we do not understand the system. The data is not coming at the right time and right place, which leads to a whole lot of compliance problems. It of course, it would lead to a whole operational cost, because due to the knowledge gap and the collaboration gap, the communication gap between the teams, it leads to a whole lot of increase in the operational cost, loss of customer trust, and business stakeholder. Yeah. Um, so that this has been the case always. Yeah. I mean, at least uh, what we all see in an enterprise, the business team always wants to get that kind of view on the data. And in the last 2 decades, the way the data ecosystem has evolved is The data systems, right from the 2000, when it was all just the systems were coming up, the relational database systems were coming up. Along with that, business intelligence products started coming in, likes of Teradata, etc. And then these were okay. Yes, they are good products, but what was the turnaround time? The turnaround time was always a little delayed turnaround time. The tech team, what they could deliver it as an insight. So that led to the technology improvements where we saw a whole lot of NoSQL, the big data, Hadoop as a starting point, and now it's all NoSQL, whole lot of NoSQL systems coming into play. The likes of Microsoft Fabric, Databricks, Snowflake, which caters to such needs of the business. So while we are setting up the system, the technology team sets up this system. How much of a view the business team is getting? Yeah. So the Lineage in particular brings both technology team and the business team together. But by not having it, the effects are the technology team earlier days when there was no proper governance, there was no proper lineage. It was whole lot of human time wasted, infrastructure was wasted because we are setting up pipelines and then it doesn't give you what you intend to, slow time to market, whole lot of rework and redundancy and technical debt. So I mean, I have been part of a whole lot of large programs. I mean, to name few, um, Livingstone in particular, where we set up a huge data system. It's an asset management company where we flow the data flows from their client in particular, where the assets are recognized, and then they get a whole lot of, they manage the assets of large enterprises. So you can imagine the amount of data. It's huge in petabyte, different customers coming in, multi-tenant. They make those kind of asset usage dynamics to the user. So we had so just to give you a visual representation, in that case, what you see here is a just two stage. But in that case, we were on a medallion architecture. The data would land on one area, then the data was staged on the next area, the bronze, then further followed by silver, then followed by a gold layer, and eventually the Power BI. So you could see the lineage, the number of hops um, the system had, yeah, or the system has. So that's the complexity. And now things might fail on any of these layers. Now, how do we account for it? At a very outside, it may feel like the data is flowing between the systems, but then what about the actual data? How many records have been extracted from here? How many records are actually reaching here? There is an aggregation. Do we have the is data arriving on time, or has the data even ever arrived? Those are the challenges, right? So the data lineage in particular then starts helping you, where it helps the delivery team to understand how the data is flowing, the support team to manage these pipelines, the business teams to understand what strategic decisions they have to take, where is the data in an enterprise. In a real large enterprises, you would have a huge silo systems hosting same data, lot of departments, right? And they would then want to come at a same place. Yeah. So that's the technology problems. What you see, silent data corruption because of not having the proper lineages, a lot of data duplication, no version history and traceability, and delayed root cause analysis. Yeah. So I mean, I did mention about a whole lot of benefits, but then just to summarize, just to bring, just to add in the context, by having the right, rather, I would say data governance, right? Data lineage is such a important area onto the data governance. By having the right data governance, it helps a lot of, from a tech perspective, it helps a lot of faster root cause analysis. It brings in a whole level of trust, because the reports, the dashboards, the analytics, what business team gets to see, they have trust on the technology team because they know what they're getting are accurate. the wrong reports lead to wrong decision. That wouldn't happen. So it builds in a whole lot of trust, whole lot of operational efficiency, a lot of automation, and then the collaboration, and then AI, right? So and today's topic, right? The data lineage with AI. So there is a specific lingo in the industry. Yeah. What, how can, it's a known fact that data in particular helps AI for us to have a, for us to derive a strong results from AI, the LLM based systems, we need to have the right data. So the data lineage helps to get the right value add for the business to leverage AI capabilities. But what we are talking here is also how AI in particular can help the data governance, can help data. And today's thing is how AI can help data lineage. Yeah. So that's what we are talking about. Yeah. So so I did cover the case studies. Let me come back to the case studies. I'll come back to the capabilities of HexaCorp and how we are good at building these data lineage and data governance in particular. So maybe let me go and talk about a couple of case studies, and then we'll head towards the demo. So the asset management company I already covered. The Livingstone is an example where it was about having multi-tenant client data to the Power BI and how the lineage, it was in a medallion architecture. And another client, insurance, from an insurance sector, where we we have 12 line of business data coming from a different their insurance domain, their life insurance, their home insurance, their retail insurance, all of that, the business insurance, whole lot of line of business of data. The use case was to transport, the migrate the data from these 12 line of business to the Salesforce, where they could have a strong sales to lead conversion. So we were tasked at getting these 12 line of business data onto the Salesforce data. So we ended up building the very dynamic ETL pipeline, consuming the data from these 12 line of businesses and one ETL pipeline. Yeah, only one ETL pipeline, configuration driven. That ETL pipeline would then transport the data to the Salesforce, and then it was all staged. So because these 12 line of business data was staged onto medallion architecture, where we took the data from these 12 line of businesses, we landed the data, we then brought onto a very proper semantic layer, having a bronze layer in there. Then we enriched the data quality with data vault in a silver layer. Then we further took into the gold layer with a schema, with a star schema, and then we took it to the Salesforce. Yeah. So that was another use cases where we implemented the data lineage, and that's where we realized setting up a data lineage is such an important thing, and then getting it right, and then how AI in particular could help us to set up the data governance and lineage to get it right. So before I talk about our capabilities, let me take you to the demo, and then I'll come back to this slide. So what you see on a screen is a demo version what we had built it for one of our customers. So it's an ETL script, a Python ETL script. The Python ETL script is having the mappings. This has the embeddings of about from where, how the data is moving. It is moving from the Oracle, what you see on the screen here, from here, from Oracle. Yeah, and the data is being moved to a Postgre. It's just a point-to-point communication for the sake of demo. Yeah, it's getting into the Postgre, and then it is also going through a few transformations, what you see on the screen. So this particular ETL script has been fed to the is going to be fed to an agent. What you see here, yeah, the LangGraph agent. The LangGraph has been used for the agentic work here. So let me run this script, which would then give me, to set the context, it would eventually give me something like this. Yeah. So on the left side, this is giving me the lineage. So on the left side, you have the columns in particular, and these columns are being mapped. What you see here, these orange lines, and these are the transformations. What you see, these are the columns which have been transformed, and they have been mapped to a specific columns on the right side. Yeah, and this particular lineage has been made from the LLM. So let me try to get that for you. So I'm running in a, this is a Python script, the script what you saw, the ETL script with a LangGraph agent. I've just run it, waiting for it to generate the lineage. The lineage would be in a JSON format. Yeah, that created a lineage for us. So I will just be copying this. For the sake of demo, I'll just take you to a visualization of it. We have a visualization script. The visualization script is expecting me to paste what I got it in another script, the lineage. I've just pasted the lineage. And that's where I'm going to save it. Yeah. So the demo webinar might have got created now. There you go. That's the lineage for you. Yeah. So the AI in particular, of course, uh, the large language models with its inference capabilities can take us to lot of points, right? What you just see here is a point to point, but then these it could be any layers, any amount of layers, where the lineage could be derived. So for one of our customers, what we have been doing is it's a problem for them. Yeah, it's a very outstanding problem for them. They have their scripts, the lineages have been written into the legacy systems. They have COBOL, they have Python. Their pipelines have been written on IBM data stage. Their pipelines have been written on IBM Informatica Power Center, and that's a challenge for them. And then they have been facing this trouble where for a greenfield implementation, it is always easy. You start a project, you make the lineage, you have a conceptual design, and then you start building the pipelines on top of it. But then for us to derive something from an existing systems which have been there, it's always very difficult, and it has been so difficult till AI, right? AI in particular would get that, right? So this is where AI plays a very vital role. It could interpret what the code in particular. Yeah, these are all generative models which could understand the code, and with the proper agentic work, it gets to us where we could derive the data lineage. And for the customer which I was talking about, they had this problem, and then we laid out this solution for them where we had the lineage, and then the lineage was then fed back into their governance portal. For a couple of customers, for one of our customers, we had to put it back onto Colibra, and for the other customer, we had to put it back onto the Informatica center. Yeah, with the proper APIs where we could see it. It was a much staged, a very process-driven process where we are deriving the lineage, and then we are feeding it back to the systems. So that's the demo for you. And that's been our strength. As I said, it's not about building AI systems, the data helping the AI system. It's also about how AI can help data systems, and both can complement each other to add a real business value. Yeah, and that's HexaCorp for you. That's our strength. It's although we touched upon only data lineage, but then it's about data governance for us, right? It's about whole lot of observability, how we do the data monitoring, how we set up and observing systems, how we do the scalability. It's about data quality for us, data orchestration for us, where orchestration gets very closer onto the lineage. It's about the data integration, setting up the strong engineering pipelines. These engineering pipelines are not possible unless we have a proper lineage. It's about setting up a huge analytics layer. That's not possible unless we have a strong data lineage. Yeah. So that's the innovation, that's the AI capabilities, that's the real value of add, what AI can add value to the data systems, and that's HexaCorp for you. Thank you for listening in, and
Thank you.
I would hand it over to Revati. Over to you, Revati. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you so much. It was really insightful and a comprehensive walkthrough. So the clarity you brought to such a complex topic is deeply appreciated. For everyone who's posted questions in the chat, our team will get back to you with answers via emails, collaborating with our subject matter experts. So, as we conclude today's session, I want to sincerely thank each one of you for attending. Your presence and participation made this event truly meaningful. So, a big thank you once again to our speaker for sharing his expertise. We hope this session gave you a deeper understanding of the power of data lineage, especially in enhancing transparency, compliance, and trust in your data. So, to learn more about HexaCorp, please visit www.hexacorp.com or reach out to us at info@hexacorp.com. Until then, stay tuned. We look forward to seeing you at our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Revati.
Thank you.
Bye.